Welcome to Dreamlit Tales, where every story is a quiet place to rest your mind and wander through imagination. If you enjoy peaceful stories and calm narration, please like this video and subscribe to join our cozy corner of dreamers. Now get comfortable, close your eyes, and let's begin tonight's story. Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, near the edge of a great forest, lived a poor woodcutter, his wife, and his 2 children, a boy named Hansel and a girl named Gretel. Times were hard and a terrible famine had spread across the land. The woodcutter could barely find enough food for his family, and each night he lay awake in worry. One evening, as the children slept, he turned to his wife and whispered, "What will become of us? We have nothing left to eat." His wife sighed sharply. "Listen," she said. "Tomorrow morning we'll take the children deep into the forest. We'll build them a fire and give them a small piece of bread, and then we'll leave them there. We have no other choice." The woodcutter's heart broke. "How can I abandon my own children? Wild animals will tear them apart," but his wife would not yield. "Then we'll all starve together," she snapped. "It's this or death for all 4 of us." And so, in his despair, the man gave in. But Hansel and Gretel had not been asleep. Their empty stomachs kept them awake, and they heard every word. Gretel began to cry softly. "We're doomed," she whispered. Hansel took her hand. "Don't worry, little sister," he said. "I'll find a way to save us." When the moon rose, Hansel crept outside. The night was bright, and the ground sparkled with tiny white pebbles that shone like silver coins. He filled his pockets with as many as he could carry, then slipped back into bed beside Gretel. "Sleep well," he said. "God will not abandon us." Before dawn, their stepmother shook them awake. "Get up, lazybones, we're going into the forest to gather wood." She handed each a small piece of bread. "That's your lunch. Don't eat it too soon, because you'll get nothing else." Gretel hid her bread under her apron, while Hansel quietly held the smooth pebbles in his pocket. As they walked, Hansel kept turning around to glance behind them. "Hansel," his father said, "what are you looking at?" "Keep walking. I'm just watching my little white cat," Hansel replied. "She's sitting on the roof, waving goodbye." "Fool," said his stepmother. "That's just the morning sun on the chimney." But Hansel wasn't looking at any cat. With each glance, he dropped one bright pebble on the path. They walked deep into the forest until the father built a fire for them. "Sit here and rest," he said. "We'll be back when we're done cutting wood." Hansel and Gretel sat beside the crackling fire, eating their small pieces of bread. For hours they heard the sound of an axe nearby, or so they thought. In truth, their father had tied a branch to a tree so it knocked back and forth in the wind, making the sound of chopping. Eventually, the children grew tired and fell asleep by the fire. When they woke, night had fallen and the fire had gone cold. Gretel trembled. "We're all alone, Hansel. How will we get home?" Hansel smiled softly. "Wait until the moon rises, then we'll see our path." When the full moon climbed high into the sky, its light caught the trail of white pebbles shining like a path of stars. Hand in hand, Hansel and Gretel followed them all the way home. Their father opened the door in disbelief, tears in his eyes. "My children," he cried, but their stepmother scowled. "You naughty things," she said. "Where have you been? We thought you'd never return." Peace did not last long. Hunger returned and food vanished once more. Late one night, Hansel and Gretel heard their parents whispering again. "There's no bread left," said the wife. "We must take them even deeper into the forest this time. It's our only hope." The father protested, but his wife's cold words silenced him. Hansel rose quietly and tried to slip outside for more pebbles, but the door was locked. He sighed and turned to Gretel. "Don't cry," he said softly. "The good Lord will help us." At dawn they were shaken awake and handed smaller pieces of bread than before. On the walk, Hansel began to crumble his bread, dropping tiny crumbs along the path. "What are you doing, Hansel?" his father asked. "I'm saying goodbye to my little pigeon on the roof," Hansel said. "Fool," the woman snapped. "That's just the morning sun again." Deeper and deeper they went, farther than before. Another fire was built, and again the parents vanished. Night came, and Hansel whispered, "When the moon rises, we'll follow my crumbs home." But when they tried, the crumbs were gone, eaten by the birds of the forest. The children wandered through the night, and all the next day, weak with hunger and fear, until at last they lay beneath a tree and fell asleep. The next morning the children continued walking, though their legs were weary and their bellies empty. At midday a snow-white bird perched on a branch began to sing so sweetly that they followed its melody through the trees until they came upon a strange little house. It was made entirely of sweets, the roof of cake, the walls of bread, and the windows of sparkling sugar. "Look, Gretel," Hansel said, eyes wide. "We can finally eat." He broke off a bit of the roof, and Gretel nibbled on the sugar window pane. Suddenly a voice called from inside, "Nibble, nibble, gnaw! Who's nibbling at my house so small?" The wind, they answered, "the gentle wind." And they went on eating. Then the door creaked open, and out hobbled an old woman leaning on a cane. Her back was bent, her eyes small and red, but her voice was sweet. "Ah, you poor dears," she said kindly. "Come inside and stay with me. You must be hungry." Inside she gave them milk, pancakes, apples and nuts, and 2 soft beds with clean white sheets. The children fell asleep, thinking they were safe. But the old woman was not kind at all. She was a witch who lured children with sweets so she could feast on them. Early the next morning she grabbed Hansel by the arm and locked him inside a small cage. "Eat, my boy," she said with a wicked grin. "I'm going to fatten you up." She turned to Gretel. "And you, fetch water and cook for your brother. When he's ready, I'll eat him." Gretel wept bitterly, but could not disobey. Each day she brought food to Hansel, while the witch checked his finger to see if he'd grown plump. Clever Hansel, however, held out a thin bone instead. The witch's dim eyes deceived her, and she grumbled, "Still too thin. Eat more." Weeks passed, and she grew impatient. "Fat or not, I'll eat him tomorrow," she snarled. "Gretel, heat the oven." The next morning, the witch told Gretel to check if the oven was hot enough. Flames licked the edge of the door. "Crawl in and see," she said. "If it's ready, we'll bake the bread." But Gretel saw through her trick. "I don't know how to get inside," she said. "Show me." "Simpleton," the witch hissed. "Watch like this." She leaned forward and poked her head into the oven. Quick as lightning, Gretel gave her a mighty shove, slammed the iron door, and bolted it shut. The witch shrieked and pounded on the door, but it was too late. Gretel ran to Hansel's cage, crying, "Hansel! She's gone! We're free!" Hansel burst out, and together they hugged and laughed and danced in relief. Searching the cottage, they found chests filled with jewels and pearls. "These will do better than pebbles," Hansel said, stuffing his pockets. Gretel filled her apron too. Hand in hand they set off once more. After hours of walking they reached a wide river with no bridge. Then Gretel saw a white duck gliding across the water. Little duck, do you see? Hansel and Gretel are waiting for thee," she called. The duck carried them safely across, one by one. As they neared the edge of the forest, everything began to look familiar. They ran faster, and soon their father's cottage came into view. They rushed inside and threw their arms around him. The poor man had never stopped mourning them. His cruel wife was gone, and his joy returned at last. When Hansel and Gretel emptied their treasures, the house glittered with jewels and laughter filled the air again. And so they lived together, safe and happy with full hearts and full bellies. And that, dear listener, is the story of Hansel and Gretel, a tale of courage, cleverness, and the unbreakable bond between brother and sister. Thank you for listening to tonight's story here on Dreamlit Tales. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe for more bedtime tales, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what kind of stories help you relax most. Until next time, rest easy, dream deeply, and let your imagination carry you somewhere beautiful.